Uh, could I ask one now, or if that's right?
Hi, Rebecca. Yeah, I'm okay. If you're okay to
Hi.
ask the question.
Oh yeah, I'm fine, thank you. What made you think of starting acting? Like, was there anything that motivated you, like a person or some sort of media or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I've always been kind of an imaginative weirdo, a little bit, um, and I've always connected with acting as a way of sort of expressing things, sort of through me in a way, in a weird way. I've always been this sort of playful kid. Going through school was tricky because I feel I put some pressure on myself to be like, I need to get a real job or something, and so it was a weird relationship that I always was sort of surrounded by acting, whether that being doing school plays. I did plays all through school, through elementary, junior high, and high school, um, and I was sort of, even when I initially had decided to do, um, I was in engineering and then physics when I was in university. I was still surrounded by actors, so it always seemed to kind of permeate into my life. And the moment I always sort of tell people that I think was the big switch for me is I ended up switching from physics to philosophy. So I was a philosophy major for 3 years, and I was enjoying it, but there was a kind of crisis of faith moment for me too, that I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it. And I remember there was like a New Year's Day. I was feeling kind of down, and I was like, I just need to do something more tangible. And I auditioned for a play at the university. I went to University of Calgary, and it was a one act play that was for the city. There's this festival called the Calgary One Act Play Festival, and I got the role. And I had met my girlfriend at the time, so it seemed like things had aligned, and I ended up adding on that major. And it was finally like when I kind of followed the breadcrumbs, things tended to turn up well for me. Um, I got into the program, and I got a couple good roles in the main stage plays, like the big plays at the university. When I finished my degree, I got an undergrad at this company called Vertical Theater, and it was sort of, they only offered two of these internships every year, and not necessarily they offered them, and they wouldn't necessarily get filled. They would need the right people for certain roles in say the season of a show that I was in. And yeah, I managed to get this acting internship at the company, and it just seemed to sort of snowball from there. And I really haven't looked back. And for me, I I you know I do still struggle with a fear of failure, and I have this sort of general anxiety of talking myself out of doing things, and acting seems to be the one thing that I really allow myself to be fearless in. And so for that kind of subconscious reason, I've continued to pursue it. Sorry, that's sort of a long-winded, strange answer, but
No, it's fine.
hopefully hopefully it's satisfying.
Oh yeah, it is. Thank you so much for answering it, anyways.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
I think I'm not sure how the working out who's up next to ask the question thing actually works. So if I may jump in,
Of course,
if
yeah.
nobody objects to this. Um, and I have a couple of questions if that's okay. Again,
Of
if people don't
course.
mind me hogging. This one is a collaborative question between Nora, who we've already heard some questions from, and myself. But Dave Klaus described Dave as kind, strong, vulnerable, and beautiful. In 4 words, how would you describe Dave? And as a bonus, how do you think Dave would describe Klaus in 4 words?
Kind, strong, vulnerable, and beautiful. Yeah, I think that there is kindness for sure. Dave, there doesn't seem to have a bad bone in his body, so that's a word. Um, and yeah, I think that there is a maybe sensitive. There's a sensitivity to him. Um, hmm. Yeah, empathetic. I would say. I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Sorry, is this a mean question?
No, no, it's not. It's not. It's. You just put me on the spot in a good way. What else would I describe Dave as? I think there's softness to him. Maybe. I know that sounds strange, but sure, that would be another word I would describe. Now, how would he describe Klaus was the second part of your question, correct?
Yes.
Um, I think, yeah, free spirited, I'd mentioned before. Um, open, uh, unfiltered would be a good one as well, too. Like there's qualities that way. Um, hmm, what's a fourth word? These are all very like jester style words for him. Because I was going to say chaotic is another one in a great way. Um,
Chaos is always good.
unexpected could be the fourth one. I think we see that right from the moment when Dave meets Klaus to I think maybe what he brings in the relationship, which keeps it fresh.
Yeah. That actually leads on really well to a question that I have as well, which is what do you think was going through Dave's head the moment that he first saw Klaus?
It is like a point of surprise. I mean, he just woke up. Maybe the first thought is like, is this a dream? Something like that, maybe. We're not sleeping much, so this could be a dream. I wouldn't put it past my brain. Something like that.
Dave's brain would invent a beautiful and mostly naked man just appearing in a flash of light at the bottom of his bed. That, yeah,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
would.
The dream coming to reality, but maybe not necessarily looking like what he thought, which is,
Mhm.
great too.
Yeah, going back to that sort of unexpected element.
Yeah, exactly. Of who Klaus is, for
Yeah.
sure.
Then another question. Since Klaus has Dave's dog tags, do you think they exchanged them? So Dave had Klaus's, or do you think that Klaus took them off him after Dave died?
Yeah, good question. I think probably, I mean, they would have had to keep their dog tags on them, I feel would be the protocol. So I feel Klaus probably took them after Dave died, um, as a way to remember him. That would be my answer.
Okay,
But
cool.
again, the writers may think something else. So don't take my word at it.
Until they tell us otherwise, we can take your word.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And final question: how would you like Klaus and Dave's storyline to end? Obviously, again, that's going to be up to the writers. But if you had the ability to go into that writers' room and demand a certain thing, what would you want?
I think sort of love prevailing. I could see like it's being set up where maybe Dave's character takes a darker turn and Klaus has to be the redemptive person to bring Dave back. I think something like that could be really interesting. Especially because we've seen that altercation with Dave and his uncle in season two. That again, that can send Dave down a very different path, and that Klaus has to sort of be the one to redeem Dave. I think could be really, really sort of a beautiful way to tie up that story. But again, we'll leave it to the writers' room.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hope you're having a good day so far.
I am. Thank you. Hopefully you are too.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, I just want to say you're super cool. So thank you for doing
I
this.
appreciate
And
it. Yeah, you're very welcome.
I have a couple of questions. My first one is about Dave. Uh, on your preparation for Dave, when you were sort of preparing for the role, what sort of like media did you like? Did you look at any sort of media or, think what like sort of media would Dave would like or stuff like that before shooting the role or even, after in season two and stuff?
Yeah. For me, the big two things I can think of is just music and there's that the Ken Burns Vietnam War doc I watched. That series that was on Netflix. I'm not sure where it is now. It was pretty enlightening, and just reading about the war online as well too, in Vietnam were the big things in terms of reading. With music, I literally just sort of looked at everything of like the. I think Dave would listen to music that would have been popular obviously around that time. So basically I listened to everything from 1965 to 1968. I settled on a lot of Motown, funny enough.
Ooh.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of Stones, just a lot of those bands during that time too. And I'm a big fan of Motown personally anyway, so I allow some of my own biases to creep in there as well. But yeah, for me, it's just sort of sitting in that world of culturally what it would have been like, and trying to do some research that way.
Nice, nice. My second question is, I know Dave is a small character, but with all the stuff that you do know about Dave, all the stuff that you prepared for Dave, and since the show has come out, how the audience has perceived Dave. What is your favorite thing about Dave as a character?
Like I said before, I think that I just love the quality of how he loves Klaus. Just this really pure, unconditional, simple love. I think that it's so just necessary with what the world needs right now. I think that people are generally quite afraid, and there's still a lot of fear, or not just around sexuality, but how we treat one another, I think. And we need people to be brave in how we love each other, to be vulnerable. And it can be as simple as just like, telling your friends you love them in a way. It's just like things that we don't sort of commonly do. And I think Dave is a good representation of that sort of fearless kind of love. That's the thing I think I'm most proud about.
Wow, that's a really nice message. A simple one, yet a really beautiful one that we need in our world.
Yeah.
And my last
Yeah, we
question.
could all use a dose of it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly. And my last question is about your acting in general. I also have, a passion for acting, and I know that, as you keep going on, you get feedback from people, you evolve. So how do you think as an actor you evolved from when you first started to act?
From when I first auditioned for Umbrella Academy, you mean, to now, or just in
No,
general
just
from when I first started?
in general.
I think the longer I've been in this, this sounds a bit like a cliche, but you really have to trust yourself. I think that new actors, there is a bit of a trap of feeling that you need to put something more on, because De Niro has this famous quote of like, "Do less," and so I think a lot of actors are afraid because they feel like they're doing nothing, but ironically, when you try to put something on, it actually reads as general. And the more that you can kind of allow yourself to trust in your own point of view and your own sort of presence, I think that naturally gives you more range. And I'm obviously not a master at this yet myself, but it is definitely the thing that I strive towards. And so a lot of, I think, acting is sort of doing less, is trying to allow yourself to just be in your skin a bit more, and relax in a way. So I think I've definitely got better at that. I still have a ways to go, but that I guess is the way I've maybe seen in my work. I've evolved a little bit more.
Yeah, that's great. I also resonate to that. I also feel I agree to that sentiment. Well, that's all my questions. Thank you so much for answering.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Have
Good
a
luck
good.
with your career as well. Hopefully we'll see you on some big shows as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you
you're very
never know.
welcome.
Okay. Bye.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Bye bye.